Chris Bernari here for Brewbound.com, and we're hanging out in the newly commissioned Epic Brewing facility here in Denver, Colorado. This place actually just opened up about a week ago. We're here a couple days before GABF starts, and we're here with Dave, one of the co-founders. Dave, thanks for having us. Thank you for the beers.
Thanks, Chris.
So tell me about starting this brewery here in Denver, and obviously your home base in Salt Lake City, and how you got in the beer business.
Well, we got in the beer. I'll start with the last part of the question.
Work backwards.
Yeah, I'll work backwards. Always been interested in beer. I'm a native of California. Fell in love with craft beer in San Diego and the Bay Area. Almost started a brewery in the late 80s, early 90s. Thought about doing it. I was pretty young, but I had no experience in that, and I didn't have a lot of money, and figured no one would give a 21-year-old, 23-year-old guy money to start a craft brewery, at least if they were smart. So we started this aquaculture feeds or brine shrimp business, and that brought me to Utah.
Wow.
So.
And explain to us what that is exactly.
Well, we would harvest brine shrimp from the Great Salt Lake and sell that as an export product for the growing of very small stages of larval shrimp and fish.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And now you sold that business and jumped into the brewing business when?
Sold that business in 2001, 2002, I think.
Okay.
I consulted for the people that bought that business for about 6 years, 7 years.
Wow.
And then my business partner and I decided to look at another venture, and we came back to that craft brewing idea in 2008 when Governor Huntsman changed some liquor laws in the state of Utah.
Awesome, awesome. So now you're 100% in the brewery business, and you started, obviously, your first location in Salt Lake City. You've expanded here to Denver, and, you know, I think this is something unique that I've heard, you know, this idea of operating multiple brewing facilities, and I think you want to expand beyond two at some point potentially, you know, across the country, and having, you know, dedicated brewing facilities really servicing the local market with your beers and your brand. Talk to me about that strategy of, you know, potentially owning multiple facilities across the country.
Yeah, it really developed out of what drove the decision-making process for the Utah brewery. The state controls distribution there, so we wanted to make a brewery that was a destination for local people by offering a wide variety of well-crafted beers that our head brewer, Kevin Crompton, is well able to execute. So that was wildly successful. I mean, we blew our 5-year business plan out within a couple of weeks of operations. It was that successful. And thought that, you know, we knew that we'd quickly outgrow the space in Utah, and we started thinking about other markets. And we're really excited about rather than do a big production brewery in the state of Utah, is we think that we like to have that local connection. We think it's important to have local employees and become part of a community. And we think there's also advantages in terms of transportation. You know, we make the beer close to markets. Mm-hmm. We're close to markets. We still use distribution. We like distributors to help us sell our beer. Sure. So we thought a great market to try that concept in was Denver, Colorado. At the time, there weren't many breweries in the city of Denver that were like this model, you know, a smaller kind of craft brewery. Sure. Of course, there's many great breweries in the state of Colorado, so it was a mature market, a good place to prove concept. So,
were you ever concerned that there might be too much competition that might, you know, influence your decisions going forward one way or the other?
Yeah, I think the thing that kind of made us not worry about competition is that this state and the brewers in Colorado are so collaborative and so welcoming to anybody. I mean, we would come here before we even thought of starting a brewery, and we'd get, you know, VIP tours and hang out with brewery staff and ownership. And so we don't really see our fellow brewers in the state as competitors. And I still think Colorado has a lot more market share to gain against big domestic beer. So that's kind of how we got over that question of competitive difference. And we do sell beer out of state already. So
interesting. So the facility in Salt Lake City and the facility here in Denver, how big are they?
Salt Lake City will produce around, I think, 10 to 12,000 barrels a year right now. That brewery will cap out around 12 to maybe 13. And this brewery is around 11 to 12,000 barrels a year, but it's designed to add fermentation to get us up to 35,000 if we feel the need to do so.
Now, you walked us through the brewery earlier, and you showed us, some of the fermentation space and the brewing space, and you guys actually, planned in advance to be able to grow this brewery. Talk me through sort of that decision-making process to invest up front in the case that your brand does take off here locally or in other markets, and be able to sort of grow here in this footprint without having to repurchase new brewing equipment.
Right. Yeah. So in Utah, we did it kind of maybe wrong because we thought the system size we were going to put in there was sufficient. So we didn't scale. It wasn't easy to scale up, so we had to add a chiller. We had to add things as we went. We learned that lesson. So building this second brewery, we built in all the infrastructures oversized to get us up to that 35,000 barrels. So, for example, our glycol chilling system is oversized for current brew needs. So is the boiler. So is the mill. So all the kind of support of the stainless steel in the brewery is existing, and that's the hard part to upgrade down the road. So we made that investment up front.
And how are you guys capitalizing these projects?
Peter and I sold that company, and we did pretty good. So we went from brine shrimp to beer, and beer's much better.
As long as no brine shrimp are in the beer, right?
Yeah, that's not allowed, man.
Yeah. Unless that's how you're getting that sour, funky taste out of some of these beers. I don't know.
Man, I hope not.
So I guess, expand a little bit on this idea of potentially, putting another brewery in another state. Would it be, the same size as this, 35, 40,000 barrels? What needs to happen here in Denver for that to become a reality, for you to have another operation in another state?
Yeah, those are good questions, and those are the kind of things that Peter and I torque on, probably weekly, and think about, when's the next brewery. First, I think we need a break. We did a lot this year.
Sure.
This brewery in less than a year up and running from when Kevin announced it.
Yep.
And we did the brew pub in Salt Lake. That's going to open in November. The restaurant part of it's already open. So take a breather and then start to identify markets. I'm a native of California, so it wouldn't surprise me if we end up going to a place that we have personal connection with.
Would that be Southern or Northern California that you're looking at, or?
When we considered Denver, we also looked at both Northern and Southern California, so both are possibilities. Cool. If we go forward with the concept. Yeah, and then we have to stop putting money in, Peter and I, and start to see money come out, because the capital costs are huge to start a brewery.
Yeah.
So
what are you guys looking for here out of this facility that will tell you one way or the other, yes, like this is something that we should pursue in California or anywhere else? What do you guys, is there a certain sales number that you're looking for? What is it that says we can do this?
Yeah, it'll be, well, first market feedback, see if, in a few months or within that year time break, we're just taking it easy. Get feedback from customers and consumers that understand what we're doing, see if the concept really does work. So proof of concept is critical, and we'll learn that from our customers. That's the best way to learn it. The other component of that is people. We need good people, but we're training them every day in both breweries, Salt Lake and Utah. So it's kind of cool that we have two places to train more staff that might be willing to, one or two, the key people could move to another location. So that's a critical component. And of course, does the brewery look like it's long-term profitable? That's obviously a driving factor in that.
Great. Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to watching your progress over the next year or so. I myself am a native of California, so I'd be thrilled if you guys put a brewery down there sometime for me to visit when I go back home.
Cool. Maybe we'll meet up there sometime and have a beer.
Cheers.